community, that we're here to support you in any way and your access to resources as well. So with that, I'm going to get started. I'm going to introduce our amazing moderator. She's also an author who recently came with a special edition in Spanish now of her book. And I'm really excited to introduce her now. Jasmine Diaz is the founder and CEO of Flourish LLC, a life leadership and leadership coaching practice dedicated to helping individuals and organizations grow with clarity, confidence, and purpose. If you can give her a warm welcome. Gracias, Jasmine. And she'll be introducing our other amazing panelists that you may or may not be familiar with. So you'll get to hear from them directly of what they do in the community, who they are, who are the organizations they lead as well. You're welcome.
All right. Really glad to be here with everyone today. Thank you for making the time to be here. So with that, let's get started and introduce our first panelist today, Gaby Chavez Lopez, Executive Director of Latina Coalition of Silicon Valley. Welcome. All right, and next up we have Chad Johnston, CEO of Creatv. All right, next up, we've got Joe Miller, President of Works San Jose. Next up, we have Tina, Events and Marketing for NorCal Public Media. Nina Chuang from SJSU, Assistant Director of Community and Government Relations. And last but certainly not least, we have Trami Kron, Executive Director of Chopsticks Alley. Welcome. All right, so before we get started, I did want to give Chad the opportunity. I want to ask you a question before we get going with questions. If you can please share with everyone, what is Open San Jose, and how does this space build community?
Cool, welcome y'all. Open San Jose is a project of Creatv San Jose. This is your space. We call it Open San Jose because we want it to be this safe, accessible space for community to gather, convene, build, make change together. There's 8 nonprofits here that we're all anchor partners together. But you can do anything in this space. If you're with a student group and you have a performance, you have a meeting, you have a retreat, this space is yours. The space is to use it is on an equity sliding scale. So if you're a tiny little student group, you can probably afford it. It's very cheap. If you're San Jose State, we might charge you a little bit more money so that we can give it to the student group to offset those costs. But that's what Open San Jose is. It sort of sits at the pillars of equity, technology, and story. So yeah, we opened up in 2023, and here we are, still.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing. All right. Okay, so we'd love to give everybody the opportunity to learn a little bit about each and every one of you. So I'd like for all of you to answer this question in 30 seconds or less. Tell us a bit about yourself. How many years have you been in your current role and your professional background? And we can go down the line. So Gaby, we'll start with you.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Happy first week of classes in school. I'm a mom. I have a 7-year-old, and today was his first day of school, 2nd grade. So big part of my identity. I'm also a sister to many, and a daughter of 2 incredible people who were both educators my entire life. And so I think education and opportunity, opening up pathways of opportunity, has always been something that's been very important to me. I've dedicated my career to doing that in a variety of ways. That's kind of been the through line, is like education, access, opportunity. That's why I love this space. That's why I like to be in a community with a lot of folks that share those same values. I have been in my current role as Executive Director of Latina Coalition of Silicon Valley for about 4 years, I think going on 5. I was just telling somebody that was the longest job I've ever had, because like most millennials, I bounce around and kind of have done about 2.5 years, 3. So I must really love it, which I do. And our Oh, we're not talking too much about what our organizations do yet. Yeah. Okay. So, so I've been in that role, but again, like my career has taken its twists and turns. I spent most of my 20s figuring out what I didn't want to do. And then it led me to my purpose and what I ultimately feel so proud and really good about doing every single day. And so I get to do that. And I get to be, like I said, surrounded by people who share similar values and have a similar vision for a San Jose that includes all of us.
Thank you, Gabby.
My background is sort of a mix of artist and activist. So I was an organizer and an activist for many years, and I'm then going in college. I studied theater and media with a focus on social change, and I feel like I'm one of the few people that studied something specifically, which was around community media and public access. And I immediately, well, close to immediately, ended up working in it. So I've been here at Creatv for about 9 years, and then I was in Minnesota for about 4 years, and then Durham and Chapel Hill, North Carolina for about 10 years. So 21 odd years I have been trying to use media and technology in these community media centers to basically do justice work and democracy work. That's me pretty much. I like to cook and I have plants, but about this is my jam, is where you all are sitting right now.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I've been with Works mostly as designer and consultant since 1987. And the organization is 10 years older than that, so I didn't know it for its first 10 years. I've been leader of the organization for about 15 years. I've taught at San Jose State since 1988, so this is the start. Today was my first nice long day from 8 in the morning until almost, well, we got out really early. It would be 6, but we let him go at about 4:45 so I could get over here. And this is the start of my 38th year there. I also graduated from San Jose State in the winter of 1983, so I've kind of like spent like almost all of my life there at San Jose State, you know, so yeah. All right. Thanks.
How about now? Okay. So I'm Tina. I'm with NorCal Public Media, and I spent about 20 years after college in wine industry magazines and events and conferences, and got laid off in COVID because events died hard in COVID now, didn't they? But I had been volunteering for my local PBS station for about 15 years, so it just goes to show, because they hired me right away after I got laid off during COVID and brought me aboard, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I love it. So volunteer. Wherever you have an interest, volunteer, because you never know where it might lead you. And it might help you hone your interests as well. But anyway, so I've been working since 2020 on fundraisers like our auctions and events, the ones we host, the ones we participate in, marketing the station, because PBS and NPR, we have both, are in the modern digital age, but I think people still think of them as fuddy-duddy old broadcast channels. But we're streaming, we're digital, we're doing programming that is meeting the moment. Education, obviously, how many of you were a PBS kid, right? And all of that. So it's incredibly fulfilling and really great work, and I really value doing it.
Before I introduce myself, can we get another round of applause for our amazing partners here today in putting this event together? My name is Nina Chuang. How do I begin? I am a proud Spartan alum. I graduated in 2023 studying food science and Asian American studies, Go Ethnic Studies. My journey has been a little bit unconventional. I said I was in food science. I always growing up, not actually growing up, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But in college, I was like, I like food. I like science. I'll be a scientist. Turns out I'm too extroverted to become a scientist. I would be in the lab and I'll be gossiping, of course, with like my lab buddy, and they'd be like, "Shh, be quiet. Like, focus on your experiment." So I realized I really loved advocacy and representation. So I kind of fell into student government at San Jose State. Was in student government for about 4 years. I served as director of student resource affairs, vice president. Oh, sorry. I was a representative for my college first, director of student resource affairs, vice president, and then student body president in my last year. But only in my last year, I then considered public service. I always thought community service was on the side, and it was something that my immigrant parents would tell me that's not something to depend on. And until a mentor of mine who was in the current team I work for sat me down and was like, "Nina, I see you in this space. Just try it out. Just try it." So I served in the state assembly, working on legislation on health, education, communities of color, social justice, women and girls, reproductive health, and also, I think that's all of the things. But yes, and working for the assembly and working for a representative really, I just caught on and I kept going. So I now work at San Jose State in community government relations. I reached my 1-year anniversary actually last week. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So impressive. How do I follow that? I'm Trami Crone. I'm the founder of Chopsticks Alley Art, the gallery you see at the front. A little bit about me. I'm all over the place. Who amongst us are all over the place? Yeah. And it's okay. I am older than I look, so I'm going to tell you this. It's all going to be okay, right? You don't all have to start with the career you thought you wanted. It's okay to change. It's okay. So I'm supposed to be a lawyer, doctor, engineer, all that stuff, but I'm not. I did sell drugs for a while, the legal kind. And then I decided I want to open a skincare business because I love skin, and I did Mary Kay for fun because I was too embarrassed to admit that I liked Mary Kay. Do you guys know Mary Kay? Okay. Then I decided to become an esthetician, open my own skincare in Santa Cruz. So I did over 1,000 facials. And my family was like, "What? What are you doing? Like, what?" So they're very confused about that. And then I moved to San Jose. It was supposed to be for a second. And then I was going to go to Hawaii and live forever. That was the plan. And I'm Vietnamese. I didn't grow up within the Vietnamese community, per se. I had my immediate family. But wherever I lived amongst the white community. I grew up in Utah. I was in Santa Cruz, all these places. So when I came here, I decided, I really want to check out this community of mine. And I felt really weird and off, like, oh, there's all these Asian people here. It felt so weird. And then I saw the need. The need was they don't know how to access resources in San Jose. So then I started the work. I started to attend places, events, what the city does and all this. And then fast forward 11, 12 years later, I'm still here. I never made it out of San Jose. And here we are. And now I'm doing this. And we can tell more about Chopsticks Alley in a little bit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much all for sharing. So, it stands out to me quite clearly that all of you up here are very purpose and mission-driven individuals in a variety of ways. So thank you to each of you for sharing a little bit about your background. And we'll stay on the topic of mission. So the next question is, how would you describe your organization's mission in your own words? And for our anchor partners, what is Open San Jose to you? How does this space help you drive your mission, build a community, and provide equity in what you do? And Gabby, if it's okay, we'll start with you and then go on to the rest of the panelists.
Sure. So let's see. How would I describe our mission in my own words? I get to take already strong, capable, powerful women and get to help them get to that next level, right? And achieve their truest potential and purpose. And we do everything in our power to help them see their power, bring their collective power together into spaces, and to just really see their culture as an asset. I think that kind of segueing into what San Jose has meant to me, and also what this space means to me at Open San Jose. I mean, it's a melting pot of culture and tradition and family, and I think that that's something that all of our organizations really lean into, is like just the incredible mix of cultures and people that we have in San Jose that makes San Jose so special. And so the work that I get to do to help people truly reach their potential and find their purpose and live their purpose, I think is something that is really fulfilling and exciting. And I say once you kind of flip that switch and have people recognize their own power and potential, there's no going back. And I love being able to be a part of that journey and that process. And so that's what our organization did for me. I actually started with the organization 17 years ago as a youth. We have a program called the AIA program. And so they flipped that switch and there was no looking back. And very similar to Tina, I wanted to highlight that I also was a volunteer with the organization for many years. Prior to becoming the first paid staff member ever of our organization. Our organization's been around 26 years. We were an all volunteer organization, blood, sweat, and tears, and just good, just good effort of all these women that poured into this organization for so many years. And then obviously we brought on our first staff member during the pandemic. So lots of opportunities then. And so, yeah. So that's a little bit about our organization. We work with other groups. We build multiracial coalitions. We just make sure that Latina voice is explained, expressed, also is at the table. But we understand that we live in a context that is multicultural, multiracial. And it's really just about being able to level that playing field, but also being able to kind of through our own practices, give permission for others to be able to express their culture and their traditions, and really seeing that in San Jose, like that should be celebrated. And so that's what open, means to me. And it's just this nice intersection of different folks that have different, missions and purposes, but then we can see how we can collaborate and work together, and how we can kind of intersect and cross-pollinate our different networks, which has been really exciting.
Thank you, Gabby.
You guys are so nice. You applaud after everything. That's really just, this is so affirming. Thank you. So Creatv's mission is to use media and technology to foster civic engagement. So we're trying to use media and technology basically to help shift people's position of power. We're very interested in, media and information is how we learn about our world, our culture, and there's often not a lot of people telling those stories. So we really focus on equity and justice within media and technology. We do that through teaching classes. You can come learn the studio or how to make a documentary, all on a sliding scale. We give you all the equipment, so it's pay what you can. So if you have $1, awesome. If you have $1,000, neat. That doesn't happen very often. Then we help other nonprofits tell their stories. So we produce media for nonprofits on a sliding scale to help them demonstrate the impact and the change they're trying to make in the community. We also want people to be informed about politics. So we're actually the folks that if you ever have watched a city council meeting or a county commissioners meeting, that's our crew back there switching the cameras and doing the titles and doing all that stuff. And then we run 4 TV stations on Comcast Cable. So that's filled with all kinds of community content about San Jose, for San Jose. It's also on Roku and Apple TV and Fire and all those other platforms, and on our website and YouTube. Open was a project we envisioned because we saw a lot of inequity in the way nonprofits are funded in San Jose, and because there's this scarcity model of nonprofits, we're always just like scrambling to stay alive, that we end up not collaborating. We're just like, oh, okay, I have my money. I'm going to do what I said I would do in this with this little thing. And so we just tried to say, how can we change that? And how do we get people to collaborate? Because when you collaborate, you build power, you get to think innovatively. You know, like y'all have fed, all of us have fed one another some idea, some new thing. So we just use the space as essentially as a power building exercise. It's an experiment. We're 2 odd years in, but that's what open does for us. And I think for all of us, it's slightly different, but that's what open is really just how do we work together in different ways to make San Jose, like you said, to make San Jose really a city that works for everyone, that everyone's at the table, and we all have equal ability and power to make change in the city.
All right. So Work San Jose. Work San Jose is San Jose and kind of the South Bay's community art space, which means that all of the content that we show you comes from people like you. So everything is open in one way or another, which is how we were kind of a great fit with the concept of Open San Jose. We kind of call what we do radically inclusive as far as art spaces go, because we have a couple shows a year where everything that comes in from any artist, no matter their experience level, no matter if anybody's ever heard from them before, is put up. You know, so unless it's going to fall off the wall and hurt somebody, and and we've mitigated those sorts of things, then it goes up. So there's very, very few rules for some of the things. Then we have these guest curated programs where about 4 times a year, somebody from the community comes in and says, well, I've got an idea for an exhibition, and I know like 3 artists, and maybe you could introduce me to 2 more or something who can fulfill this concept that I have. I want to do something that is relevant to the community. Maybe it's about the environment, which we have a show coming up. Maybe it's about culture. Maybe it's about how soft and squishy art is, which actually Cynthia Yadirian Gonzalez and Alyssa Ray Graciano have coming up at the end of the year, a show called Edge of Softness that the 2 of them have put together, several other artists. Both of those people, while they've shown a little bit with us, neither of those have ever curated at any institution, and so now we'll fund and we'll help them get up their idea and present it with as best a museum quality as we can within our limited resources, which are still pretty good. We can make things look pretty darn good. We are kind of a scrappy organization. I do admire those who have managed to get employees and that sort of thing. We're not at that space right now, even though we're 48 years old. We're an all-volunteer organization right now, and always looking for opportunities, looking for funding, and so on. Mostly we're funded by people. Like, we do get a little bit from the city, a little bit from the county, from some other like kind of institutional funders. Most of those are in the literally few thousands. Like the amount that we get from the county of Santa Clara is $3,000. So very, very small grants. It's human beings that fund and operate the place. This site is Works' 7th location in those 48 years. I've looked, I can't find any other like nonprofit that has survived that kind of upheaval. We've managed to do it, and I've been with the organization now for all but 10 of those years. And it's been kind of arduous, but Chad and I were put together by SV Creates at one point. There was just this idea that Chad and his folks had about a center of some sort, we were getting kicked out of the convention center, which later during COVID they said, "Well, can you stay?" And I said, "Like, fuck no." There's like, oh sorry, heck no. There's this, there's this center that's being built. Now we're gone as soon as it's ready. But anyways, they were kicking us out. Their building was going to be torn down, which now it's just going to be renovated, I think, as to where it was. But they were outside of the core and couldn't do this sort of thing really where they were. So we and a bunch of others then started to kind of brainstorm, and they started to really look, and they had the resources to put this together. So it really gave us a fantastically capable space. Some of our spaces in the past had been really capable, but maybe had no environmental controls. Like it was a big, we'd have a big 2,500 square foot gallery with high walls, but on a day when it's 90 degrees outside, it's 90 degrees in the gallery, and so on. So it was really difficult to operate and to protect art and people in those situations. So here it's a really great thing to be able to operate in a sane sort of manner and make things look really beautiful. We got to collaborate back and forth with the architects of the space, so that was really magical to say, okay, we actually had them move the plan from where Works was to this area over here, from where they first conceived of it to kind of like fulfill more our vision of the thing. So it's been an incredibly, like from day one, was an incredibly collaborative kind of idea, which is where we love to live, because we like to just collaborate with people, mostly that we've never met before. We love to like meet people who we've never met before and see what their ideas are. Along with the exhibits here, we do 2 to 3 exhibits at Mexican Heritage Plaza with the School of Arts and Culture. I'm mostly the lead curator there, just because it started during COVID when I wanted to like work alone, and they offered up the gallery, and I said that'd be great, and so so we started doing programming there, and now that's really expanded as well. So anyways, come see us if you're an artist, and tell other artists at San Jose State to come see us as well.
So NorCal Public Media had a problem. We have been serving non-commercial, educational, informational, entertaining television to the whole 9-county Bay Area region for 40 years. But when you think of PBS in the Bay Area, what do you think of? KQED. And so a lot of people didn't even know we were serving them. And we've been working for many years to change that up at headquarters in Sonoma County, and we've got a strong presence in the North Bay. We're well connected in the communities there. What we didn't have was a connection in the South Bay, our feet on the ground. And there are so many communities down here to serve. So what we had was one lone producer working out of his home, hi Rick, and coming up to headquarters to handle editing and various other stuff. Open San Jose was a game changer for us. So our feet are now, down on the ground in San Jose, and not just at a great community organization, but at a media center and an event center and a community hub with 8 of us now? 8 anchor partners, all of them working on different facets of this incredibly diverse community down here. So that's what Open San Jose means to us. And we love it. We love being here.
Has anyone heard of the phrase or a similar kind of wording that education transforms your future? So you asked me to share our mission in our own words. So I'm going to share mine, and I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. Is that San Jose State serves, and its mission is to uplift historically underserved communities to transform their lives through career, through education, through opportunity. So I'm going to share 3 missions because I feel like it's kind of layered. So San Jose State, the team I work on in community government relations, and our social justice history. So again, San Jose State is part of the CSU system. San Jose State is actually the oldest university west of the Mississippi. We started in 1857 as a teacher's college. And actually, when you look in the yearbooks, our first students were women. So period. So we started as a teacher's college, then became SJS, then SJSU. But within the framework of the higher education master plan in the California system, our mission is to particularly help uplift our next generation into the workforce. So this looks like connections to our community, ensuring that professors and educators have common, like they've practiced actually, and they've done the work in the community. So that is a bit about San Jose State. I feel like, I wanted to share that because, especially in this moment, education is not seen as a necessity or valued the way it has been historically, and especially with the current administration and also just views of society. I want to really name that San Jose State and a lot of higher education institutions were not originally created, but now their mission is to serve historically marginalized communities, to amplify them and transform them, or they already are leaders, but continue to give them skills to be leaders of our generation. So I work at Community Government Relations at San Jose State. I'm part of a 2-person team, and what we do is we help facilitate our community, local, which is city, county, state, and federal relationships with the university. So any legislation, any policy decisions that impact our university, that's me and Ryan Ward, who is my boss. And basically, he's awesome. And I help facilitate particularly our community and local relationships. Of course, because my background's in state, I also assist with that. But, so what does that mean? That means advocacy. So every opportunity that we can, we help bring our student leaders to advocate in DC, in Sacramento, and also help facilitate their relationships with our city council members, and also, all of our different community partners and elected leaders in the community. Our role and our job is to, I would say, amplify the community and Spartan voice to members who fund our university, who also amplify us in particular ways in legislation. And also, I would say, being proactive and looking at what is the current, keeping our finger on what's the pulse of San Jose State right now. It's a hard, but it's a really, really a job of privilege to be able to serve in this space, to be able to be an advocate, and that's literally my job. To be an advocate, I'm going to Sacramento next week with a professor who's testifying on AI or something like that to a committee in an assembly. And then the last part is we've a legacy of social justice in the community. We have a very famous statue on campus of Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who rose their fists during the 1968 Mexico Olympics. And they were SJSU students. They were track students that went to the Olympics as part of Speed City. And of course, though, given the time, they were not well received. They actually were removed from the university. Their gold medals were actually taken. But with their mentorship and the leaders who've come before them, they have created a precedent at San Jose State to really create student leaders who are willing to challenge systems, who are willing to reimagine what does our future look like. So again, I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud because hopefully, don't tell on me. But I really wanted to share that as well. And as we are in a public art space, following this notion of social justice and advocacy, right, we are also a hub of public art. And I would like to say that art is how we really rethink and hope for our future. That's how we think creatively, and how we jump outside of the box. So we have statues that really resonate with a lot of our communities that we serve and our students. And I hope you check us out if you haven't already today. Happy first day.
Okay, so a little bit about Chopsticks Alley Art, how it was founded at the end of 2017. And it's all because through my craziness of working all these different things, I'm in San Jose, I'm taking a break, I'm figuring out the community. Well, then the San Jose Museum of Art got a grant to bring art to the Vietnamese community. So that's when I got introduced to the museum. And they said, hey, do you want to do that? And I reluctantly accepted after many rounds of no. And then I figured, there's something about called the universe and energy and all that. And I guess I'm supposed to do this thing. So I spent about a year and a half at the San Jose Museum of Art, helping them facilitate different activities to bring art to the Vietnamese community. Through that work is when I saw that there's no Southeast Asian voice in the arts in San Jose. Yes, you see a lot of Chinese art and Japanese art. Awesome. But what about the rest of us? What about the Indian community, the Vietnamese community, the Thai, Cambodians? All of those voices you never really see or hear. And so we set out to put on one exhibit in Japantown. And during that exhibition, which was 6 weeks, we held art classes, we had poetry readings and performances, and you name it. And the community came out in droves. And I was like, now what? We can't stop. And that was 2018 when we had our first exhibition. And here we are. Next year will be our 8th year doing this. And now we have a space, and on. It just keeps going. One lesson I learned from all of this is, that whole, if you build it, they will come. It's kind of true, right? So first feel that call within you, and the call has to feel scary. It was very scary to me. I put on exhibit, I don't do that. The closest thing I got to the arts is both of my parents are artists. But we're not supposed to be that, right? That's a hobby. And so I was never really exposed to it. And through surveys, we also found out that the underserved community don't even go to museums because that space is so scary and unfriendly. When you go in, it's so beautiful, but it's grand. And how do you move? How do you act? And so they're uncomfortable. So then we did things like we bus our elders, because in groups, we're okay, Groups of 35 elders, right? Vietnamese elders going into the, museum. The museum's like, what the heck is going on here? But they're all there, and they just love it. So it's opening doors for people who don't get exposed to it. The closest thing to museums, if you go to France or you go to wherever, you're like, I gotta go to the Louvre, like it's something you do. But locally, we have so many art spaces, but no one goes because they're afraid. So we bus them around to all the galleries, and they got lunch, it was just super fun. So something else we do is also our Asian Artist Fellowship we do every year. We introduce the Asian fellows who are artists to different aspects of the museum. It's not just an artist job. There's all these different jobs in there. They didn't know about that. Or go to the Mexican Heritage Plaza to learn about how the Latino community is doing that over there. So they get exposed to that. So we have that annually. So apply. And let's see. Yeah, so we do so many things. We have art exhibitions, as you know, out there. Go see it. It's amazing. Free art classes at Olinder Community Center. That's 3 times a week we have that. We also have free Cambodian or Khmer dance classes there on Sundays, and also language classes, all free. And we host events, cultural events like the Moon Festival. And then, we do so many things. How we got here and what this space has done for Chopsticks Alley, it's a game changer. So before we didn't have a space because it cost money. Then we would go to different museums like the Triton Museums or even Evergreen Valley College, and we would partner with them, put on an exhibition. We partner with Creatv when they were in their old space or have an exhibit there, to now having our own space. And it's really from, Chad and his team when they decided, let's create this thing and make it affordable. Because to have that frontage space, can you imagine how much that really costs in real money? And I'm like, we can have it for how much? It's so affordable. And then when we want to hang things that are in our dreams, that's technological, immersive video experience. When you go in, it shines on you and you lay on the ground, all that. So I was dreaming of all that, and they help make it happen because they have the technology. We don't. If we had to go hire a technology team to do that, That exhibition cost us $100,000, but without them, it would have been $250,000 easily, right? So we were able to do that because of the partnership. And then with NorCal, they put us on TV. They made videos about us. We look so fancy, you know, all that. And then Work San Jose, they have this whole group of people who follow them, who come to the gallery. They don't know about us. Well, now they know, and vice versa, right? And we steal some of his artists, you know, like that kind of, whatever. No, we work together to give artists extra opportunities. That's what you say. Okay. Let's see. And then with Gabby, this event, right, with Latina Coalition. So it's like so many opportunities to work together. Ultimately, it's about heart. I really think that in your career, when you choose a job that brings you joy, that's scary a little bit, brings you joy. And I know it's a cliche and you don't believe it. They say, do what you love, the money will come. And I'm telling you, Chopsticks Alley started, it was $0. We started to do this, suddenly someone heard about us. They're like, do you want $25,000? Sure. And with $25,000, we did extraordinary things because a lot of volunteers, it's just money we have to pay for supplies. But here we are now, almost 8 years. We have already raised $1.75 million through all these years to do all of this. Annually, we support over 300 and something artists, 14,000 community members, like 300 art classes. I mean, you name it. And thousands of students have come through our door for free. So do what you love. The money will come. I get paid now, you know? Yeah. So, and it's a good salary. So it's just, that's just how it works. So trust in yourself. Listen to your passion. Take the time to do it through meditation, okay? You need to be quiet enough to hear yourself. When you pray, you're like, where's the answer? Well, you're always on your phone. You don't hear the answer. You got to meditate. The answer's there, right? So, namaste. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all. And I know we're pressed for time, and we want to certainly allow the folks in the audience to ask a few questions. So if you do have a question, please have it ready because we're going to come over to you in just a moment. And team, we're going to improvise because we're pressed for time. We're going to do this rapid fire style. And if there's advice in the sense of what skills do you think are the most important? A lot of the audience in this room is early in career, students, maybe mid-career, later in career. But in your opinion, what do you think is the most important skill for leaders in the nonprofit space, community, government, etc.? Rapid fire, down the line, go, and get your questions ready.
Particular skill? I mean, I think there's a lot of way to be. I think what's obvious here is there's a lot of ways to be a leader in this space, and we all have our strengths. I don't think that there's one particular skill. I think it's like finding your skill and going hard on it and really becoming exceptional at that skill, because my skill is different than Tina's skill is different than Joe's skill. So I don't think that there's one particular skill. Mine's communication. So I've leaned in super heavy on that. And, but I think you need to just find out like, what is that like play to your strengths, find that strength, find that skill and lean in super hard to it, be exceptional at it. And find roles that help you build on that. And always, for me, it's like growth mindset as well. Like always just be learning, soaking it up. I just say be a sponge, and no experience is not worthwhile. I know this is rapid, so that's it.
All right, Chad, 15 seconds. Let's go.
I was just going to say, don't let anyone ever tell you no, and don't be afraid. Like, just there's so many times in my early career I just said, oh yeah, totally, I can do that. I couldn't, but I tried. You know what I mean? I figured out how to do it. So that sense of just like, I can figure it out, I can do it.
All right, I would say like the basics for me are like patience and being open to things and to people, and kind of understanding that everybody is a person, everybody's a human being, and everybody's worth some of your time. You know, that getting frustrated and turning your back is just not a thing in our world here. So, keep forward, and listen. Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say too. Number one underrated skill: listening. Listening in a job interview. Are you listening to what they're really asking you, or are you listening for the moment you can insert something nice about yourself? Are you listening? In volunteer work, are you listening for the right fit for a volunteer gig that might tap an interest you didn't know you had? For us in public media, listening to our community is one of the most important things we do, because how on earth do we know what kind of television to serve people unless we're listening? How do we know what kind of things they need to hear on the radio news unless we're listening to their questions about what's going on in their community? So, listening.
Don't be afraid to be cringe. Like, people are saying, oh, I'm too cool to go on LinkedIn. I'm too cool to go to a networking event. I'm too cool to talk to this person. Like, I'm just going to be cool and be by myself. Like, you're not putting yourself out there like that. A mentor once told me that you don't have time to waste to be an introvert. When you put yourself out there as an extrovert, you are having people understand who you are and what you're passionate about. Like, I love what everyone really said about listening, about your passions, but if you're not taking the step to introduce yourself to someone or really making a genuine connection beyond just like, hey, my name is this and goodbye, then that's what I would say. I feel like our generation, it really tries not to be cringe, but like cringe is what will get us, and putting yourself out there is what will get you to success, no matter what industry you are, and also puts you out there in the community as well. Again, I think that's what I would say. That's my piece.
I think it's wonderful that you mentioned that. But not all of us are extroverts, so what the heck are we gonna do, right? Because I'm one of those people where I'm like, I have to put myself out there because that's what she says to do. And it's so scary, and don't be cringe, right? So what do? You balance it. You do what feels right to you. So if you're not like, I need to be in the public, then volunteer. Volunteer, because then that's easy, right? In what industry can you volunteer and be exposed to everything? You can't go to Google and be like, can I volunteer, right? They'll be like, no. But in nonprofits, you can, and you get to learn so much, right? So if you're an introvert, it's okay, you can still do it. But if you're an extrovert, then yeah, awesome. This society rewards extroverts. Okay? If you're in Asia, it's the opposite. You're not supposed to be all over the place because they're like, ooh, that person's not serious. So you have to kind of know where you are. So yes, so for me, yes to that, but think about yourself. And the most important thing for me as a person, when I judge others, and I do, let's not pretend that we don't, is integrity. Be where you say you're gonna be, do what you say you're gonna do, and if you fail or can't do it, tell them, apologize, and make up for it. Don't hide, don't pretend. They know. Don't be like, what do you call that term? Gaslight them. Don't do that. People know. So integrity.
Great. Thank you very much. A lot of great advice. So hopefully some of you, that resonates with some of you or all of you in the room. Communication, mindset, integrity, accountability, so much goodness. So with that, we want to allow folks to ask questions if you have them. Here.
This for Chad. Chad, with your background, I thought it was very... Yeah, sure. Hello, Tess. Yeah, this question is for Chad. Chad, the background that you described that you have, I think you're right. It's probably very much targeted to this local access space. What if you had a genie, and the genie gave you 2 wishes? It's probably something you've thought about over the years, and we've been through quite a bit the last. Yeah, and we've been through a lot with the COVID and the last, couple of election cycles and stuff. What do you see as something that really needs to get done?
It's like a diplomatic answer and there's a
No, I want the
Chad
non-diplomatic
answer.
answer. I want the.
I mean, in my particular focus, we need to treat media and technology as a human right, information as a human right, access to information both ways to receive and create and distribute. Democracy, culture, all these things are made from information. Culture is just information. And right now we have giant, big tech, big media, and government colluding to a way where we can't be a community or an individual within media and tech anymore. It's gross. It's bad for our health. It's bad for our democracy. It's bad for our community. So, treating media and information and technology as a human right, the ability to speak and to access the information you really need.
Thank you, Chad. All right, we have another question back here.
Hi, my name is Noah, and my question is for Nina. Little information about me. I'm going to transfer to San Jose State next year, hopefully. And I heard you mention mentors you had during your time at SJSU. Where did you find these mentors, and how did you find them at San Jose State? Or, yeah, that's my question.
Well, I guess that's a good question. I would say, yes, I found my mentors at San Jose State. I think the blessings and opportunities I get to have is because of San Jose State. But it's not the institution, it's the people. The people at San Jose State, there's something about the professors, there's something about the staff and faculty that have this fire to give you success. And if they see an opportunity, they point it out to you. But the thing is listening to the opportunity. It's like, oh, I'm too cringe. I'm too cool. I don't want to be cringe. I'm too cool to go to this, right? I would say my biggest regret of my time at San Jose State was my freshman year. My routine was take the BART, then take the bus, then walk to campus, go to class, go to the library, take a nap, do my homework, and went home. My biggest regret my freshman year is I did not get involved in a club early on. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a good Asian student because I am not a studious person. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to get all A's. I'm not going to do anything because my parents told me, it's a waste of time. That was a waste of time for me not to put myself in that space. So I would say, as you're thinking about transferring to San Jose State, really get involved with organizations on campus, because they connect you to career opportunities. They connect you with professors that are going outside of their academic time to help student organizations do the work that they get to do, but also asking questions. How I found mentors was I asked a lot of questions. Like every class, here's a cheat, but don't tell anyone. Student body president, I was flying every week to different parts of the country to do advocacy work, to meet with student leaders. I did not have time to do homework. So what I did though, when I did was on campus, was that every class I attended, I didn't do any of the homework. Don't tell anyone. I didn't do any of the homework, but every class I made sure to ask 3 questions. And after class, I would stay back and talk to the professor, just like how they're going, ask follow-up questions, and have a genuine, deep connection with that person. And it's not because I'm trying to get them, for a career opportunity, but it's because I genuinely wanted to understand the material, but also I wanted to know how that professor got to where they were. So ask a lot of questions. I can't say oh, go to this specific department with this amazing group of people that are all assigned mentors to you. You really have to, college is what you make of it. College is what you make of it. Any space that you're in the community is what you make of it. So yes, I hope I answered your question.
All right, thank you, Nina. All right, we have time for 2 more. Okay, 1 more.
Hi, so all you mentioned volunteering, and one thing I've noticed is a lot of people seem to think oh, I don't have time to volunteer. So my question is, have people come up to you and your organizations and are creative in how they volunteer that might not take a lot of time? To kind of give an idea of how people can still support even if they think they don't have the time or the capacity for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know how other community outreach coordinators do it, but the way I do it is I've got a little intake form that I developed that has some pretty simple, checkoffs, which enables me on a first glance to get a look at the volunteers' potential areas of interest. I don't know them. I don't know if they're a student. I don't know if they're working 2 jobs. I don't know that. I just look for what their interests are. We've got oodles of opportunities inside the station, office work. Heck, we need, part-time receptionists to answer the phone in the front door because we can't afford a full-time one. We had a lady come in and do Excel spreadsheet work on bounced mail for us. That saved us 3 hours. It's really valuable work for us. And then we have all of the community events and the fun stuff and working live TV auction cameras and getting to go out in the field on shoots with our producers. There's a whole range of tasks that would help us as an organization do our work better. And I just keep asking the volunteers, right? So they'll get 6, 7, 8 emails from me throughout the course of several months. And maybe one of them finally matches up with their interests, with their schedule, whatever. I'm just persistent because I want them to become involved with us. I want them to be engaged. I want them to learn whatever it is they want to learn about public media. And I'm going to keep trying until they do.
I'll just quickly add. I think if you want something that's finite, a little bit more time, less time, I think like event specific stuff has a start time, end time. You can kind of get your way in that way, because sometimes it can feel really cumbersome coming in and then having somebody have to create something special just for you, and like you're already asking this already really stretched, maybe all volunteer organization or whatever, to come up with something. So like when you see an opportunity of like a specific event at a time and a place, do a couple hours, like I think just more event specific, like register people, those kind of things. When I think about the spectrum of events from like little amounts of time versus like longer term, I think just starting there on maybe like a specific event, time, place, and then kind of getting to know the team and then feeling it out for yourself, I think is a good place to just start. Very like simple. That's how I started when I was a really busy student and I could only just, but I couldn't afford a ticket to that thing that I wanted to go to have access to those people. So for me, it was like this exchange of like, okay, I'm getting that, but I just have to volunteer, but I can get in and those kind of things. So I was really strategic too about where did I want to be and what spaces did I want to be in for that time that I was also giving.
I'll just throw one in. We're an all-volunteer organization at Works, and so if somebody's interested in the visual arts or poetry or those sorts of things, we do have a lot of events. We have volunteers who literally volunteer for 2 to 4 hours a month, to staff the gallery. Or we actually have a couple of volunteers who come in and do checkout of people at our annual auction. They volunteer once a year for those like about 4 or 6 hours, somewhere in there, to do the money handling and the credit cards at that one event. And it's the same people kind of every year. And then there's people who just work at that event as well. So I don't know about others, but yeah, see us. We have Amy who's coordinating our volunteers in the gallery right now. So yeah.
All right. Thank you all. Anyone want to ask the last question? Here we go.
Okay. So my question is, what advice do you have for someone who wants to grow into leadership roles in the nonprofit sector? Something you will tell your younger self.
I would say to start with volunteering and kind of what was said by Trami. I really liked what she said about say what you're going to do and then do it, and be a reliable person and keep being reliable, and they'll beg you to be a leader. Basically
that one sounds boring. It is not boring. It is incredibly impressive to be reliable.
Yeah, just come through with what you're gonna, with what you say you're gonna do, and that's what everybody up here I know totally does, and that's why people shoved us into leadership roles, saying like, please do this because like you came through before.
So in my role as student body president, you also get to serve as CEO of a 501c3, which is Associated Students, which runs the $6 million nonprofit that specifically has 9 departments on campus that serve your needs: print shop, childcare, CCCAC, the Cesar Chavez Community Action Center. So in that space, I really learned how important it is as a woman and as a leader to find your circle. And they don't have to all be women or all be from the same community, but find the people that really are going to push you just a little bit when you feel really bad about yourself. Particularly as a woman leader, I was one of 2 women who served on the board, and I was president and the other person was a director. So being in that space was really hard. It was really hard when you're in a space where you're president, but your voice is still not heard because of how you look like and who you are. But also being proud of who you are at the same time. And you also have to hide that because everyone's looking to you as a leader, right? So find those people who behind the scenes and also in the front lines will advocate for you, that also will mention your names in other rooms. Because those are the people that's your circle and your village that will uplift you, especially working in public service and in these spaces. I would also say, really center on your why you are here. There's so many distractions in leadership that happen, but by staying rooted and grounded on why you're here, whether that be because I want to advocate for my family, whether that be I really want to make a difference in the system, whether that be I want to make sure history is recognized, whether that be I want my creativity to be known, right? Really remind yourself and have people around you that remind yourself why you're here.
One last tip I have. The city of San Jose is a great resource as well. So when I moved here, nobody knew me. I didn't know anyone. And I lived in Santa Cruz for like 20 years. I didn't really know anyone either. So I'm like, how am I going to do it differently in San Jose? There's these things called commissions. The commissions, right? So they're all volunteer based. There's youth commissions. There's parks and recs, arts, you name it. Every department, anything you can think of, there's a commission. When you are on a commission, and if that's in your title, on your little resume, or suddenly you're a leader. This is a tip people don't tell you about, and you're like, the city, oh my gosh, it's so boring. It is. It's kind of crazy, but it's a really good tip. So when I became a Parks and Recs commissioner, I didn't know anything about parks. I became one. Suddenly, they call me Madam Commissioner. Suddenly, everywhere I go, I'm being introduced as a commissioner. It's meaningless, really. It's just a term. It's just a word, right? But suddenly, you're a leader. So there's these shortcuts. The city has a lot of them. You go up there, you Google whatever city you live in, or even the county commissioner, blah, blah. They're important ones that you can get on, okay? Like the planning and all that stuff. But there are smaller ones, like senior ones, like all these different ones. So get on those or volunteer with the city. They have so many, and you just keep showing up, and it's there. Okay.
Yes, and most people that run nonprofits, we're very passionate about our work, and we care about the communities we're in, and we also want to retire someday, which means I think we're all dedicated to future leaders. So Don't hesitate, like you said, don't hesitate to just reach out. Like, I'm working the front desk sometimes, right? Like, this is truth. We're just normal people, and we're probably very excited to just sit down with someone who wants to be a future leader to help them. I mean, an hour over a cup of coffee, help you think about, how do you do that? Like, that's nothing to us. And like I said, we're tired, so
I'm tired.
We need
I
good
hear
people
you.
to fill our
I'm not
positions.
even close to retirement, and I'm tired. I just would say give before you take.
Yes.
I really value that. And I gave a lot for a very long time to many people. And when I need something in return, it was like this, because I always try to do something for them before I ask them to mentor me, before I ask them for their time, before I ask them for something. So figure out those tiny things that you can do for people, showing up to something that they're putting on, volunteering. Like, if you want something from that person, think about what you can give to them first before you ask for something in return. And I think people feel really good about that. And you know, you'll go very far in your career if you give first. And I'm just going to tell you that. So just find a million little ways to give to people that you want to get close to. And that's how you get mentors. That's how you get people investing back into you because you've given to them. So it's just this art of reciprocation, because we aren't like, what is it, limitless in terms of what we can give. And I think that's one thing from the nonprofit space that people sometimes because we want to help everybody and we will do that, but we also want to be, it has to feel reciprocal.
Yep, I love that piece of advice. The power of networking, nourishing those relationships, and I can't tell you in my life, personally and professionally, how many times those have proved to be so fruitful. So it takes effort, it takes time and intention, but the power of networking and nourishing those relationships will pay off eventually. So give before you take. I love that. All right, with that, we are at time. And Jessica, I'm going to hand it back to you because I think you have some fun giveaways.
Can I just give a round of applause, like lovingly, with so much power to all of our panelists, our moderator, for everyone for showing up, all of you all. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with us. And again, my name is Jessica Vera from Latina Coalition. I run one of the programs at Latina Coalition called LEAVE, the Latina Economic Advancement Program. So if you're interested in financial literacy, workforce development, I'm your point person for that, okay? And with that, we'll go into, if you want to model your new book. And your book, yes, Spanish edition, officially has launched on a great day, Latina National Day. So thank you guys for being here. And the winners are Emmanuel Aguilar and Doris Bordhon. Woo! If you can come up to collect your item. And then everyone, since we are live, there are actually a few audience members who are in the recording/networking area, which is the Engage room right outside the door to the left. If you guys can also go out, interact with one another, make some connections, talk to, I would say, at least 2 people here in the panel, and then also engage with someone in the audience as well, okay? So further connect, use the photo booth. We're here to support you all in your journey, so thank you so much for coming out. Add us on LinkedIn. Woo! With that, we'll wrap up. Thank you so much. And move into the Engage room, which is outside the door to the left. Thank you all. Panelists, if we can have you for a photo in the back. Or here. Right here is fine. Yeah. Okay.